right, everyone. You are not going to believe this. Just when you thought Prince Harry couldn't sink any lower, couldn't possibly find a new way to humiliate himself and embarrass the institution he was born into, he has managed to find a whole new basement. The scandal that has just broken is not just embarrassing, it is a humiliation on a national political stage. It is the story of a prince reduced to begging politicians for money, only to be slapped down without a moment's hesitation. The man who claimed he wanted independence from the royal family is now seething after the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has flatly and publicly rejected his request for a government-backed loan to support the 2025 Wellchild Charity Awards. Let that sink in for a moment. The final door, the one to the British government and the British taxpayer, has just been slammed shut in his face. Now, I know you guys are excited for more slap. But before we delve into further discussion, if you haven't subscribed, come on guys, what are you waiting for? Hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell ASAP. So now, sources close to the South African government have confirmed that Harry's visit request was denied at the very highest levels, and they cited concerns over protocol, his outrageous security demands, and the controversial nature of his public statements. This is an absolutely extraordinary rebuke. Members of the royal family are very rarely refused visits by governments. It just doesn't happen. And that makes this public refusal an embarrassment of truly historic proportions. And unlike the quiet diplomatic refusals that might happen behind the scenes, this rejection was made public. South African media have reported the denial with a heavy emphasis on Harry's entitlement, framing it as a long overdue lesson in humility. For a man who is still accustomed to bows and curtsies in his Montecito bubble, this is more than just a slap on the wrist. It is a red-faced, international humiliation. And let's not forget the sheer, delicious irony of this. Remember their last trip to South Africa? The one where Meghan, in all her sanctimonious glory, gave that cringe-inducing speech where she declared, "While I am here with my husband as a member of the royal family, as a wife, as a woman of color, and as your sister." Well, it seems your sisters in the South African government have had enough of you and your brainwashed husband. They have sent a very clear message. We don't want you back. The country you tried to use as a backdrop for your own self-aggrandizing narrative has now told you to stay away. Harry's global image has been under intense scrutiny ever since he fled his duties. His public image, which was once powered by his charity work and his royal privilege, has taken hit after hit after hit. The private jet controversies, the cancelled Netflix and Spotify deals, and the increasing criticism of his media appearances. The South African government's rejection is a public confirmation that his hollow celebrity brand cannot and will not override institutional decision-making. And it's no secret that Harry has long requested the highest level of security for his public appearances. Reports are suggesting that the South African officials were completely unwilling to meet his extensive and expensive security demands, viewing them as unnecessary and totally disproportionate for a non-working royal. And this decision just underscores a recurring criticism. Harry often demands the privileges of his old life without any of the justification, further damaging his already tattered global image. Countries are naturally cautious when they are inviting royals or celebrities who might provoke controversy. And Harry's entire history of public commentary, his whiny interviews, his activist-style statements, all make his presence politically delicate. South Africa's decision reflects a deliberate, calculated move to avoid any international complications, and it shows that Harry's brand no longer commands any unconditional respect. This is part of a growing and undeniable pattern. The pharmaceutical giant GSK denied sponsorship for his private jet travel. Netflix and Spotify have scaled back their projects with the Sussexes. Public figures from John Oliver to the creators of South Park have openly mocked him. Prince Harry is increasingly being rebuffed at institutional levels, demonstrating that his titles and his privilege alone cannot secure him access or influence anymore. He markets himself as this great humanitarian, this global advocate, and a voice for the underrepresented. Yet, when it comes to practical, real-world diplomacy, governments are now signaling that they don't need or want his performative, self-serving presence. The South African rejection exposes the huge, gaping chasm between the Prince Harry brand that he's trying to sell us and the real-world respect that he completely and utterly lacks. And while he is being rejected on the world stage, what are they talking about? In that bizarre, tone-deaf Ellen interview, Meghan was giggling about how they met Ellen at a pet shop and how they went to a Halloween party in a silly costume with his cousin Eugenie. The world is discussing his global humiliation, and she is talking about scrunchies. The disconnect from reality is absolutely staggering. It just shows you that they are not serious people. They are living in a shallow celebrity bubble while their international credibility completely evaporates. Remember when they were on the cover of Time magazine as being among the most influential people in the world? What an absolute joke that looks like now. Influential people don't get told that they are not welcome by an entire country. This rejection just proves how hollow and manufactured that accolade always was. With his celebrity status now so increasingly dependent on these flimsy media narratives, the South African snub is more than just embarrassing. It is a symbolic message. Every single rebuff like this chips away at his influence and exposes the profound fragility of his public image. His titles no longer shield him from reality, and his entitlement cannot replace his lack of actual achievement. This rejection fits into a pattern of escalating public and institutional rebuffs. Countries, companies, and major media outlets are increasingly scrutinizing him, and they do not like what they see. This latest snub is a dramatic confirmation of the catastrophic decline in his international respect. For a prince who has been accustomed to privilege and adoration his entire life, the message is now crystal clear. Titles do not equal influence, and entitlement does not guarantee respect. The news of this snub spread like wildfire across global outlets. From the BBC to CNN, headlines have framed this rejection as a royal embarrassment on the world stage. And analysts have noted that it is incredibly unusual for a sitting government to publicly deny a member of the British royal family entry, making this a truly historic moment of international humiliation for him. His demands for private jets, for excessive security, for preferential treatment have repeatedly sparked criticism. This incident just highlights that growing pattern of overreach, of him expecting privilege without any of the accountability. And South Africa's refusal signals that the world is no longer willing to bend to these royal whims, especially when they are tied to controversial and divisive figures like Harry. Once the story broke, social media, as you can imagine, erupted. Memes, commentaries, and debates have flooded every platform, mocking Harry's entitlement and his diminishing influence. Users have been comparing him to other royals, like our magnificent Prince and Princess of Wales, who maintain their global respect through hard work, duty, and genuine service. And this just reinforces the narrative that without responsibility, titles are completely and utterly meaningless. The entire Harry and Meghan brand is heavily tied to their royal status. But when a country like South Africa explicitly rejects Harry, it fundamentally undermines that brand. Any remaining deals with Netflix, Spotify, or other media ventures now face even more skepticism. Investors and audiences are now questioning the global reach and influence of the Sussexes, knowing that even governments are refusing to engage with them. The timing of this just amplifies the humiliation. Amid his declining public popularity, the endless media controversies, and the previous corporate snubs, this incident is yet another devastating blow to Harry's credibility. It is a clear and powerful message. The international stage does not owe him access, respect, or deference. His attempts to maintain his global relevance are increasingly being seen for what they are, out of touch, entitled, and purely performative. And the world is pushing back, demanding relevance, action, and responsibility over empty ceremony. Public perception, media scrutiny, and institutional resistance are all converging, and Prince Harry is facing a brutal reality check. So, there it is. Prince Harry, publicly rejected by the South African government. A nation of millions has made it clear, you are not welcome here. This is not a polite decline. This is not a quiet protocol decision. This is a blatant, international-level humiliation for a prince who has spent years expecting deference wherever he goes. For someone who has built their entire brand on a foundation of royal prestige, a supposed humanitarian image, and celebrity influence, this is catastrophic. The world is no longer automatically opening its doors for Harry. The message is clear. Privilege does not equal respect, and entitlement does not guarantee access. So, here's what we need from you. Do you think Harry's royal title should still command respect internationally? Is this rejection a deserved lesson in humility or an overreaction? And how much has Harry's brand truly suffered due to his own entitlement and his controversial choices? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just a story, it's a global conversation about titles, privilege, and accountability. Hit that like button if you agree that Harry's world of entitlement is finally being challenged. Share this video with friends who follow this royal drama. And subscribe, because every rebuff, every snub, and every misstep is part of a larger reckoning that Harry can no longer avoid. This isn't just a moment of embarrassment. It is a warning to anyone who believes that titles alone can command respect. Harry is learning, in front of the entire world, that the crown's power doesn't follow you everywhere you go, especially when you've spent years trying to tarnish it. Ta-ta, and bye for now.